Have you ever stepped barefoot into the garden at first light, dew still clinging to every blade, and felt that quiet tug of doubt? The joy is there, always, yet so is the weariness. Another season of dragging bags across the lawn. Another round of bending low to spread what the earth never asked for. You pause. You breathe in the green. And you wonder why it has to feel like labor instead of life. It doesn't. The soil beneath your feet already knows how to protect itself. It has for centuries. We simply stepped away from that wisdom and reached for plastic sacks and wood chips instead. I learned this the hard way one misty April morning when my back refused another wheelbarrow. That single moment cracked open a different path. 2 humble seeds. 1 living carpet, and suddenly the garden began to mulch itself. The old way drains more than muscles. You buy the bags. You haul them. You spread layer after layer, only to watch it fade by midsummer. Wood mulch dries to dust in a hot spell. Straw turns into a mat that hides slugs and then vanishes. Grass clippings clump and sour if the rain lingers. Every year the same dance. More money. More sweat. More time spent fixing what the ground never needed fixing. In cooler corners of the Pacific Northwest, the bark stays soggy and invites rot. Across Mediterranean summers in southern France or Spain, it bakes hard and repels the very rain your plants crave. Even in the gentle damp of an English allotment, it breaks down too fast, leaving bare patches begging for weeds. Nature never buys mulch. Walk any wild woodland edge after rain, and the floor feels plush underfoot. Leaves, stems, fallen petals, all knitting together without a single hand. That same quiet system can slip right into our rows and beds. Living mulch. Plants that grow fast, shade the soil while they live, and melt back into it when their work is done. No hauling, no yearly repurchase. Just seeds scattered once, and a garden that starts to care for itself. 2 plants make the whole magic possible. I discovered them years ago when a neighbor slipped me a small paper packet and said simply, "Try these." Phacelia tanacetifolia came first. Feathery, almost fern-like leaves that catch the light like lace. Delicate lavender blue flowers that open in spirals and hum with bees from the moment they bloom. It germinates in cool spring soil, the kind we get in March across much of northern Europe and the northern United States. 10 days and the first green threads appear. A month later, the patch is a soft blue haze that cools the ground beneath it and keeps moisture locked where roots need it most. I still smile remembering the first bed I sowed with it alone. Tomatoes planted down the center, Phacelia drifting around their feet. By June, the weeds had simply stopped showing up. The soil stayed dark and crumbly even when the sun beat down for weeks. Pollinators arrived in clouds. My harvest doubled without extra water or feed, and when the flowers finally faded, I cut the stems green and tender, raked them lightly into the top 2 inches, and left the microbes to their feast. 2 weeks later, the bed smelled like forest floor again. Buckwheat brings a different kind of speed. Phagopyrum esculentum. Not a true grain, but a fast-flowering broadleaf that rockets up in warm weather. It germinates in 4 or 5 days if the soil is kind. 30 days and the whole area disappears under a thick green canopy topped with clusters of tiny white flowers that smell faintly of honey. Its roots weave a fine net just beneath the surface, opening pathways for air and water while releasing phosphorus and trace minerals as it grows. Perfect for tired, sandy soils in coastal California or the lighter loams of Central Europe. It smothers weeds before they even think of rising. I tried it first around young squash vines one sticky July. The buckwheat filled every gap within weeks. No bare earth. No cracking crust after thunderstorms. When the first flower buds showed, I cut it low, left the clippings as a light blanket, and watched the squash swell twice the usual size. The ground never dried out. Slugs stayed away. Even the cabbage moth seemed confused by the sudden jungle of green. Together, these two weave something stronger than either alone. Phacelia reaches a little taller, its roots probing deeper for locked nutrients and bringing them up. Buckwheat races low and wide, sealing every crack. Scatter them mixed in equal handfuls, and they sort themselves out beautifully. One shades while the other anchors. One draws bees, while the other feeds the unseen world below. The result is a living skin that breathes, cools, and nourishes without ever asking you to lift more than a small bucket of seed. Start small if the idea feels bold. Choose any bed that needs help. A vegetable patch in your backyard. A raised bed on a sunny balcony in Amsterdam or Portland. Even a strip along the fence where grass refuses to grow. Clear only the obvious weeds. Leave the rest. Mix the seeds, perhaps with a little dry compost to help them spread evenly. Walk slowly. Let them fall where they will. Nature plants in drifts and clusters, never straight lines. Water gently, as though a soft rain had come through. Then step back. In cooler northern gardens, sow in early spring, as soon as the soil can be worked. Phacelia loves those 50-degree days. Buckwheat waits for a touch more warmth, but catches up fast. In warmer southern zones, sow in late summer or early fall for a cover that carries you into winter and melts away before spring planting. Humid regions benefit especially. The living layer prevents that mucky compaction after heavy rains. Dry summers find relief too. The canopy holds dew longer and shades roots from scorching. I have watched this carpet work its quiet wonders across many seasons now. One year in a heavy clay bed that used to bake brick hard by July, the Phacelia roots broke the crust. The buckwheat held moisture like a sponge. Come harvest, the carrots slid out clean instead of snapping. Another season in a sandy corner that drained too fast. Buckwheat's fine roots held everything together, while Phacelia pulled nutrients from deeper layers. The peppers that followed were thick-walled and sweet. The soil itself begins to speak differently after a single cycle. Run your fingers through it, and it feels alive, almost warm. Earthworms surface more often, leaving their tunnels for air and water. Mycelium threads spread like silver lace. The smell shifts from dusty to deep and fungal sweet. Water soaks in instead of running off. Weeds lose the race for light and space. Your vegetables stand stronger, roots reaching wider, leaves holding that vibrant green that says everything is right below. Yet none of this happens without attention to a few gentle truths. Timing matters. Cut the cover while stems are still soft and green. Wait too long and they turn woody, slowing the return of nutrients. Keep the clippings in the top few inches only. Deeper burial invites the wrong kind of bacteria, and that sour smell none of us wants. In very wet climates, thin the carpet lightly if it grows too lush. In drought-prone areas, leave it a touch thicker to shade and conserve. I stumbled into every mistake myself. Once I overwatered a fresh sowing, and the seedlings grew leggy and weak. Lesson learned. Moderate moisture after sprouting is plenty. Another time I buried the cut material 6 inches down, thinking more was better. The bed turned anaerobic and stank for days. Surface is where the oxygen-loving life thrives. A quick spray of simple compost tea, or even diluted molasses water, can wake those microbes faster if the weather turns cool. Companion choices open even more doors. Tuck Phacelia near brassicas to draw hoverflies that hunt aphids. Let buckwheat circle the base of beans and it feeds the nitrogen fixers while shading their shallow roots. Intersperse both around young fruit trees in a small orchard, and you create a guild that holds moisture through dry spells. Even in containers on a London windowsill or a sunny patio in Tuscany, The method scales beautifully. A shallow tray of mixed seed sown around potted herbs keeps the soil cool and the harvest steady. The deeper gift arrives slowly. You step outside one morning and realize you haven't pulled a weed in weeks. The watering can sits idle longer. Your hands stay cleaner. The garden feels less like a task and more like a conversation. Bees hum where silence once lived. Soil crumbles softly underfoot. Plants lean toward you as if grateful. Over years, the fertility compounds. Each cycle leaves the earth richer than the last. No imported amendments, no endless cycle of purchase and spread. Just seeds, sunlight, and the ancient rhythm we almost forgot. I remember the first autumn after switching completely. The beds lay quiet under a thin layer of spent cover, already turning dark and crumbly. Come spring, the new seedlings pushed through with vigor I had not seen in a decade of gardening. No bare spots, no crust, just soft, welcoming ground, ready for whatever I asked of it. That single shift changed more than my plot. It changed how I walk the garden now. Less fixing, more noticing, more trust. You can begin tomorrow with nothing more than a small envelope of each seed. Many local seed houses across the US and Europe carry them. Some even sell the mix already blended. Scatter thoughtfully, water kindly, then let the earth show you what it has always been capable of. The results arrive not with fanfare, but with quiet certainty. Darker soil, fewer chores. More time to stand still and simply watch life unfold. This is not a trick or a shortcut that skips the real work of gardening. It is the real work, returned to its simplest form. Soil protected. Weeds outcompeted naturally. Nutrients cycled gently. Pollinators welcomed. The garden becomes a partner again instead of a project. And in that partnership, the joy returns, full and green and lasting. So the next time you feel the familiar ache before another season of hauling and spreading, pause at the garden gate. Look down at the bare earth waiting. Reach into your pocket for those 2 small seeds. Let them fall. Watch what happens. The ground will answer in its own good time, with softness, with life, with the kind of abundance that asks almost nothing in return. That is the quiet promise I have come to rely on season after season. 2 seeds, 1 living blanket, and a garden that finally feels like home again.